Now at 10, we're going to have showers and thunderstorms across the region tonight, then wintry weather. I'll have those details.
Plus, sentencing for a Coffeyville man in a deadly drive-by shooting. And rivals face off on the court. Highlights from Missouri Southern's matchup with Pittsburgh.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Getting the chance to experience a couple of seasons as strong storms and wintry weather move in. This is KOAM News at 10. Doug Eddy joins us with a first look at the weather.
Yeah, thunderstorms for us tonight. We've already had some that have been developing, and these have been somewhat strong across the region. We haven't had anything severe, which is good news. We have flash flood watches in effect southwestern Missouri, winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings in our northern counties. But look at the thunderstorms getting going out across our northwestern counties. I don't expect these to really go severe, but we are going to have some strong ones as we go through the overnight hours. Now, as this line gets farther south into a little bit more unstable air, that's where those thunderstorms could crank up a little bit and produce some small hail and some gusty winds. But you can see this one west of Independence, that's a pretty strong little thunderstorm. Little strong thunderstorm to the northwest of Fort Scott, another little guy right on top of Chanute. And then all this moisture is increasing out across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. That's actually our main band that is going to roll in later on tonight. Scattered thunderstorms all night long. By 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, these really start to fire up along the I-44 corridor. Heavy amounts of rain. What about ice and snow? We'll look at that here in a bit.
See you then. Coffeyville, Kansas man learns his prison sentence for a drive-by shooting death. A judge sentenced Benjamin Mason II to 25 years without the possibility of parole for killing 19-year-old Kimberly Meeks in 2019. Mason pled no contest to a charge of first-degree murder in that case. He'd originally been charged with a number of other crimes in the shooting, including attempted first-degree murder. But those charges were dropped as part of a plea deal. Mason was 18 at the time of that shooting. One of 9 suspects in a Lawrence County murder investigation gets prison time. A judge sentenced Kimberly Henderson to 25 years in prison for first-degree robbery. She was originally charged with first-degree murder in the 2020 shooting death of Sarah Pascoe. 3 other suspects in that crime have already been sentenced. For more on that and the status of the remaining suspects, check out the story at KOAMnewsnow.com. Independence, Kansas, police arrest 2 suspects accused of throwing a chemical bomb out of a vehicle. The incident happened on February 2nd. Police say Kendra Musgrove and Josh Wallace made the bomb and threw it near the home of Wallace's ex-wife. Both Musgrove and Wallace are charged with criminal use of explosives, attempted criminal damage to property, aggravated assault, and attempted arson. A warning, this next story is particularly disturbing. Jackson County, Missouri prosecutors have charged a Kansas City woman with killing her own son. The Jackson County prosecutor says Tasha Hafes was charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Kansas City police were called to Indiana Avenue for a disturbance. According to court documents, officers found what appeared to be blood on the front steps. The officers determined a woman was inside, but she refused to answer the door. Officers also saw what appeared to be a severed head inside near the home's entrance. Court records say officers forced their way inside. Investigators say the woman had blood on her and they found 2 knives. The Hafes told detectives the victim was her biological child. According to court records, Hafes admitted to killing the boy. Mercy Hospital in Joplin is changing its visitor restrictions to pre-pandemic policies, except when visiting COVID-positive patients. Hospital visitors will not be screened when they come in, but they will still need to wear a medical-grade mask. Officials say the change stems from changes to Medicare and Medicaid services guidelines. Many Americans remain hesitant to get the COVID-19 vaccine, especially in certain parts of the U.S. Now, new research shows vaccine hesitancy is dropping much faster among different demographics. A new study from Ohio State looks at COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy among Americans. While Black Americans were initially more hesitant than white Americans to get vaccinated, hesitance dropped faster among Black Americans.
The thing we noticed is that they're more likely to come to believe over time that the vaccine is necessary to protect themselves and their communities. And that could be an explanation for why overall Black Americans are becoming more willing to use the vaccine.
Dr. Padamsey notes that initial vaccine hesitance among Black Americans may have been due in part to historical mistrust of the medical community. She says the focus should now be on access to vaccines, since a lower percentage of Black people are vaccinated still than white people. Cities and states across the country are scaling back COVID restrictions and mask mandates as cases continue to drop nationwide. Today, members of the White House COVID response team said they're reviewing all guidance in the coming weeks. Cases are down almost 40%, but COVID deaths have dropped only around 9% from the previous week. Reporter Skylar Henry has more.
We are looking at an overview of much of our guidance.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says hospitalization levels will be a key factor as her agency works to update pandemic guidelines in the coming weeks. Last week, new admissions were down almost 30%.
We want to give people a break from things like mask wearing when these metrics are better, and then have the ability to reach for them again should things worsen.
States and local governments have already begun peeling back COVID restrictions. Wednesday, most indoor masking requirements for vaccinated individuals lifted in much of California.
We're going to take off our masks, and we are so excited.
While Philadelphia is dropping its vaccine mandate for indoor dining altogether. Meanwhile, two major music festivals, Coachella and Stagecoach, will have no COVID restrictions this year.
There's certainly mask mandates, restrictions on gatherings. I think they can start getting lifted.
The Biden administration is gauging support from lawmakers for as much as $30 billion for new federal funding to deal with the ongoing pandemic response for vaccine developments, treatments, and testing. The president's COVID team says it has already shipped 200 million at-home test kits directly to Americans.
Once a package ships, over 60% are delivered within 24 hours and 90% within 48 hours. This is an effort that has no precedent.
The Biden administration has formally asked testing companies for input on how best to sustain and possibly scale up test manufacturing this year. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The Biden administration also says it shipped more than 200 million high-quality masks to health centers and pharmacies, and it plans to distribute masks for children in the coming weeks. Still ahead, Oklahoma lawmakers advanced legislation that would eliminate the state's grocery tax, and how escalating tensions in Ukraine could impact an already climbing cost of living here in the U.S. Oklahoma's state tax on grocery purchases would be eliminated under a bill a Senate committee easily approved. The tax currently stands at 4.5%. The Senate Finance Committee unanimously approved the bill yesterday. A similar measure to phase out the tax over 3 years cleared a House committee last week with bipartisan support. Governor Kevin Stitt endorsed the idea last week in his State of the State address. Neither bill would prohibit cities or counties from levying their own sales tax on groceries. Area nonprofits are being hit hard by inflation on goods such as groceries and fuel. The Area Agency on Aging says it's trying to work around it. The biggest program affected is Meals on Wheels. They say they've had the same government funding since 2009. And they say inflation has made it difficult to deliver meals to their seniors.
Making sure we have all the components for the home delivered meals program. And it also includes maintenance on the trucks that we use to deliver those meals. So we got the fuel, the tires, all of that. We are stuck at 2009 funding from the state and the federal government.
The agency says they've increased the number of fundraisers per year to help with the costs. A new analysis warns an invasion of Ukraine by Russia could drive up the already high cost of living in the U.S. Economists say a potential conflict could rattle global energy markets and create a ripple effect that could impact millions of American households. Now a full-blown conflict could have major economic consequences for our wallets.
A potential war in Europe could make the already high cost of living in the U.S. even higher for millions of American families.
Unfortunately, if Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine, it's the American household that's going to partially bear the burden of adjustment.
Chief economist Joe Brusuelas from the consulting firm RSM says a Russian invasion could raise the cost of nearly everything having to do with energy. Russia is the world's second largest producer of oil, and supply is already failing to keep up with demand. That's partly why we've seen oil prices move up, and prices at the pump are soaring, hitting $3.51 a gallon nationally Wednesday, a 7-year high. An invasion or sanctions that cut off supply could send prices even higher. President Joe Biden has acknowledged the consequences.
I will not pretend this will be painless.
The big question is, how high can crude oil rise? RSM estimates if crude oil prices rise north of $110 a barrel, year-over-year inflation in the U.S. could top 10%, which would be the highest since 1981. And energy prices are a huge factor in this red-hot inflation hitting your budget.
How does this really impact me? It's in the cost of everyday living. Basically, the things we don't think about, like heating our home, like turning on the television, turning on your computer.
Higher oil and natural gas prices could also mean higher costs for airfare and transportation. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The crisis in Ukraine could also rattle U.S. markets. Economists say if there's an invasion, we could see a sell-off in stocks as investors face the fear of an oil shock and higher inflation. It could also mean higher borrowing costs. Economists warn that if inflation spikes above 10%, the Fed could come under pressure to get prices under control, possibly rising interest rate hikes quicker to cool off inflation. A new government report predicts sea levels will rise by as much as a foot on average along the U.S. coastline by 2050. The report by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration projects the levels will increase as much in the next 30 years as they did over the past century, no matter what is done now to combat climate change. The report also predicts that by 2050, moderate flooding, the kind that typically damages property, will occur 10 times more often.
Single flooding event, one that now happens every 4 to 5 years on average in coastal communities in the southeast United States, will occur 4 to 5 times per year.
Government scientists say if we don't curb future emissions, sea levels will likely keep rising, possibly up another 2 feet by the end of this century. Later, our rivalry doubleheader in Joplin. Missouri Southern taking on Pitt State. Jacob Leonard has the highlights in sports.
Plus thunderstorms, freezing rain, sleet, and snow, all in the next 18 hours. Those details coming up. Well, it turned out to be a great day for us today, despite a little bit on the windy side as we had winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour at times. But overall, turned out to be a pretty nice day. Temps well into the 60s once again. Nice shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All right, flood watch in effect. Southwestern parts of Missouri with heavy amounts of rain. Winter weather advisory for most of us. Winter storm warning northern and western counties. Already, we've had some showers and thunderstorms ahead of this. Here's the main front, which is sinking south and east. And along the front, we're getting showers and thunderstorms popping up. Some of these have been strong, which you can see Chautauqua County here, Sedan. Strong thunderstorms. We aren't seeing anything severe. And then we got additional thunderstorms as you track near Chanute, Iola. We can go into Bourbon County just to the north of Fort Scott, up near Pleasanton. These are going to continue to fire up, and as they work farther south, the air mass is a little bit more unstable once you get to the I-44 corridor. Not really expecting any severe weather tonight, but we are going to get some stronger storms with some gusty winds, a little bit loud at times, and some very small hail. Here's the main batch of rain, which is heading toward us out across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. Look at the front, sinking in. As of right now, it's Nevada, Girard, Parsons, Coffeyville. So this is moving pretty quick off toward the south and to the east. Let's go through time. During the overnight hours, showers, thunderstorms. Most of the I-44, I-49 corridor really get going after midnight. Periods of rain, heavy at times, showers, thunderstorms through the overnight hours. Here's 4:30 a.m. Northern counties switch to freezing rain and sleet. You can see the metro, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Miami, Neosho, Carthage in the mid-30s. and continuing to drop. 7 a.m., I still think Joplin's wet. Pittsburgh is getting freezing rain. So that line is going to be right between us. And then after 7 or 8 a.m., most of the Joplin metro is over to freezing rain and sleet. And then it's all snow back through southeastern Kansas. See this little dry patch? This is a dry slot. After 9:30, passes through, a little bit of a lull. And then by the noon hour, most of the metro is not even going to see a flake until tomorrow afternoon. Sleet will start to pick up again. We'll switch over to light to moderate snow, and then it quickly exits by 3 p.m. So this is not a very long, prolonged system of wintry weather, but it's going to smack us a little bit in the face as it comes on through. Freezing rain, here's the good news. I only think we're going to get 1, maybe 2 hours of freezing rain, which is great, but within that hour, we may get 1/4 of an inch, which is a lot of ice. With the winds, that could be a little bit of a problem. Let's hope we switch over to sleet very quickly. All right, snow and sleet. Due to the sleet, southern counties, amounts are much less. A dusting to about an inch through the metro, 2 or 3 Pittsburgh, 3 or 4 Nevada, Chanute 5 or 6, Yates Center 6 or 7, so heavier amounts as you work farther toward the north and to the west. Road conditions. All night long, wet, 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 wet. Here's 6 a.m. Gets a little tricky mid-morning and then kind of bad through the afternoon. Then I'm hoping by tomorrow evening they kind of go back to tricky and we just have some slick spots. So I don't think the roads will be as bad as what we had 2 weeks ago, but you definitely want to be careful. All right, drop it into the 20s and then teens tomorrow night. Back above freezing on Friday. By Sunday, you won't even remember this. It'll be at 64.
Oh, we'll remember it, but it'll seem like a distant memory.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
around here know the combination of freezing rain and high winds can be a problem for power lines and
Yes,
trees.
and that's why I'm a little worried about 1/4 of an inch falling.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks, Doug. Coming up in sports, it's rivalry night for Pitt State and Missouri Southern basketball. And a Pitt State sprinter earns MIAA weekly honors after breaking her own school record. Jacob Leonard has details next.
Well, this week is rivalry week for Pitt State and Missouri Southern basketball. The two teams meet twice in the next 4 days, beginning tonight with a doubleheader in Joplin. And we're going to start with the women's game. The Lions tied for first place in the MIAA, trying to push their winning streak to 12 tonight against the Gorillas. The Lions off to a fast start. Lacey Stokes, nice no-look pass to Amaya Johns for the finish. Other end, Tristan Gegg, she had 13 in the first half, but Southern up 5 after 1. Maddie Stokes takes over in the second. Pick and roll from Lacey Stokes. 11 points, 8 rebounds from Maddie in the first half. Lions lead 36-28 at the break. And more Maddie Stokes in the third. She finishes with 25 points, 13 rebounds. Southern gets the lead to 14 in the third. But the Gorillas fight back. Tristan Gegg, another 3. She scores a team-high 25. Then Sydney Crane from the other corner. Pitt State within 7 going to the fourth. But Lacey Stokes, she's the MIAA Freshman of the Year. That's over, okay? Player of the Year, I don't think it's silly. 11 in the fourth to close it out. She goes for 22 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. Lions roll by the Gorillas tonight, 80-65.
My teammates have a lot of confidence in me, and in those last minutes getting down the hill and being able to finish in the paint, having Maddie in there, it's hard to, if they switch, I go to Maddie. If they stay, then I get a layup. So it's really nice. Me and Maddie kind of work together in the fourth quarter a lot together.
Our pick and roll was really good tonight between Lacey and Maddie. So we got a lot of positive things there, and I thought we did a great job on the offensive boards as well. Second half especially, we went and attacked the offensive boards, got some second and third opportunities.
To the men's game now, Southern looking for their third win in 4 games, and they were hot early. Winston Desasso steps up, hits the 3. It's 9-0 to Southern. Then Christian Bundy rolling to the hoop for the big jam. Lions were up double digits early, but man, Pitt State, they got hot to close the first half. Antonio Gibbons turns and hits the little hook shot. Tyler Hawkins drives, scores, and the foul. Hawkins scores 18 tonight for the Gorillas. But tonight, it was the Magic Rutherford game we've been waiting for. 3 from the left side here. Later, off the screen, Rutherford again. The Labette County High School product hits 5 threes tonight. He leads the Gorillas with 24 points. A big road win for Pittsburgh State, beating Southern 95-82. Christine Williams is having a big-time indoor season for the Pitt State track and field team. Over the weekend, Williams broke her own school record in the 200-meter dash for the third time this season. She won the event at the 7th Annual Gorilla Classic with a time of 24.07 seconds. That time is the best in all of Division II this season. On Tuesday, she was named the MIAA Women's Track and Field Athlete of the Week for the second straight week because on top of her new school record in the 200, she posted a provisional qualifying mark in the 60-meter and helped her team do the same in the 4x4 relay.
It feels good because I've been through so much, so just to get recognition like that means just a lot. Breaking records back to back just shows that I'm improving over and over.
She's really developed her confidence on workouts, and our training has changed to kind of help her out with that.
Those workouts, they're killing me at practice, but at the end of the day, it helps me like PR and break records, so they might kill me, but at the end of the day, I'm winning.
She's become a leader on the team. And just her overall confidence in her own ability and believing in herself. And she's starting to actually believe that she can run the 4x4 as well. And I think all that comes together and you can see her confidence on the track.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran specialist. Greg Bear served in the U.S. Army. He's from Walnut, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Specialist Greg Bear, tonight's four-state hero. Doug, if you're finished sneezing, I'll let you get to the weather.
All right, I'm done. Okay. I looked at the lights and it went downhill fast. All right, thunderstorms tonight picking up after midnight and then a wintry mix tomorrow. Be careful.
Final sports now.
All right, you got to check this out. This is Brian Hanks. He's a 12-year-old from Carl Junction. Watch this. Woo! From half court.
Wow, that's amazing.
Dude won $500 on that half court shot during the Pitt State Missouri Southern men's game. So how about that? Congratulations. Don't blow it all in one place.
Yeah, hopefully his parents don't say, this is for college.
Yeah.
And it was on TV.
Yeah, I was
a sports guy.
You got to be ready.
Be careful tomorrow, and let's make it a great one.